friends, this is Tig in with another reaction video, and today we're going to be doing a reaction on The Critical Drinker. The Drinker recommends Nosferatu. Okay, now I haven't seen the movie yet. It's getting really cold, and there's a lot of trouble for me to go all the way out to the theater, and it's freezing cold because the cold really bothers me. It really does. So I decided to wait for streaming. Even though I'm really excited about seeing this movie, I'm hearing a lot of good reviews, especially from what's his name, Johnny Depp's daughter. I forgot her name, but I heard she did an amazing job as that character, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it. But I'm waiting for streaming so I can watch it from the comforts of my own home. But I'm very interested in seeing what the Critical Drinker has to say about it. And from the title, it looks like he likes it. Okay? But at the same time, I'm ready for a couple of laughs. But I know that he takes his job seriously, especially when it comes to movies. So he's going to be completely honest. But what strikes me is these movie theaters and these, not movie theaters, but the Hollywood people would not like seek to get his approval about a lot of stuff, because he's completely honest about what he thinks, and he got such a mind when it comes down to these movies, you know. So it's almost like Hollywood is like ignoring him and Nerdrotic, and they seem like real movie lovers, okay? So much so that they got a great understanding about how the movies are made, you know, the way it looks, all of these things that's combined to make a great movie. So I really don't understand why they don't, you know, talk with them or try to collab with them at some point. Hopefully in the future they will. But I'm really waiting for this movie to come out on streaming so I can just watch it and just chill, because I love vampire movies when it's done well, done right. From my understanding, this movie has been done right. So let's go ahead and get into this reaction. But before we do, please like, subscribe, and share this video. And don't forget to hit that notification bell. That way you know whenever we come out with new videos, okay? All right, let's get with it.
It would be no exaggeration to say that Robert Eggers is one of the most interesting, capable, and visually gifted directors working in Hollywood today, and probably the only creative that I get genuinely excited about seeing new movies from. Such is the case with Nosferatu, a remake of the classic 1922 silent movie of the same name, which itself was a kind of unofficial knockoff of Bram Stoker's Dracula.
See, I watched that movie years ago. I don't remember anything about it, but I remember I was a kid, man. It terrified me, and that was the great part of watching movies like that. You want it to, a horror movie is supposed to scare you to the point you don't even want to watch it by yourself at night. You know what I'm saying? And that really scared me, because when you're a kid, man, you start to kind of believe this stuff could exist. Now, I do believe in demons, okay, because it is mentioned in the Bible, and so it exists. But I mean, when we come down to people that's like vampires, like they can change into like vampire bats and all this other crazy stuff. No, of course not. But I'm just talking about there are people out there that do these type of rituals. They drink blood. There are even people out there that believe they are vampires, and so they go out there and do crazy stuff. But I'm talking about the supernatural here, okay? Demons, yes. Vampires, no. Okay? But when I was a kid, it always that possibility in your mind that this could happen, and that what makes it so horrifying when you're a kid watching these type movies, okay? And I remember seeing these type movies back in the day when I was a kid, man. Loved it, man. Loved it.
Official knockoff of Bram Stoker's Dracula. Nice to see some things have never changed in the movie business. Anyway, the hype around this movie's been steadily building for months now. The trailer got everyone talking and speculating, and with the film finally out on Christmas Day of all times, it's time to stop speculating, strap on our big boy pants, and find out if Eggers can deliver the goods.
Well, we're waiting.
Well, yes he can. Nosferatu is a...
See, that's a good sign right there. Now I'm really looking forward to it, okay? Now, like I said, I heard other people talk about it. I hear Hollywood talk about how great this is. But Hollywood have their best interests at heart. They're going to just pretty much promote any movie out there. I don't care how good it is. They're going to promote it, you know, so they can make that money. So I rely on YouTube mostly when it comes down to a lot of reviews. You know, people that really aren't going to benefit from whether they like the movie or not. So people like The Critical Drinker, for example, okay? Now, yeah, of course, he got a lot of subs. He probably get paid a lot of money from YouTube, okay? But I believe this guy is pretty honest, at least with his opinion about it. Now, do I 100% agree with him on everything? No, I don't. But it's always a good shot when it comes down to these movies when he criticizes them. If he hates it, he gonna definitely say it, okay? But he gonna give you the reasons why he hated it. It's not just I'm just a hater. I'm jealous or whatever the situation is. He gonna give you the reasons why. Now you can take it as whether it's logical or not. Excuse me, but he at least giving you the reasons why. I hate it when people just say they don't like it without no real reasons to back it up. But he gives you good logical reasons why, whether he likes something or dislike it.
Vampire movie quite unlike any other, doing for bloodsuckers what The Witch did for women inclined.
I didn't even know she was in it, man. So it's like, because I like this actress. Well, I forgot her name, Taylor something. I forgot her name, man. But I like this actress. I think she's a great actress. I didn't even know she was in it.
For bloodsuckers what The Witch did for women inclined toward pointy hats and flying broomsticks. It actually makes them scary and dangerous and alien again, bringing together a superb cast who all deliver excellent performances, a brooding and intense atmosphere, gorgeous cinematography, and a less is more approach to the monster itself that's a welcome relief after years of exhausting CGI overloads.
Yeah, see, that's the thing about it, man. It's like, that's how all movies should be made. Now, not all movies gonna be made like this because, Hollywood thinks everything is a risk. So it depends on the director or the story or whatever, if they want to like put a certain amount of money towards it. But if they weren't so greedy, they could make quality movies all the time. If they weren't so greedy, they'll just look for the best writers and directors or whatever. But they want to just put out movie after movie after movie so they can make a lot of money. So a lot of movies getting caught into that machine, that crappy machine like Disney's doing right now, because they got the rights of Marvel and Star Wars, so they decide just to put out movie after movie, and it comes out crappy, man. Special effects, all that stuff. And I get what he's talking about when you're tired of seeing special effects constantly being misused, basically. For a good movie, you should use special effects at a minimum, okay? If it's a good movie. If you don't need all that crazy stuff in a movie, then most likely it's a good movie, okay? Because it's more concentrated on the story, the acting, cinematography, all of these things, right? And then you throw in special effects when you need to. That's the whole point of it, right? So it can look realistic. And that's the way I believe when it comes down to Japanese movies and animations. They use certain things. They spend the money and the time on these things so it can look as realistic as possible, look as good as possible. Another example again I want to use is Ninja Batman. Oh God, you gotta watch that, man. It's so incredible. But I'm just saying, when they spend the time doing what they're supposed to do, trying to put out quality work, that's when things are good. But like I said, they want to make money. But I believe it's becoming harder and harder for Hollywood to put out crap because people getting tired of it, especially when they don't have to go to the movie theater. When they can just sit home, okay? They can just wait until a movie come out, watch a little bit, and say, this is garbage. I'm not going to bother with it. And it's becoming harder and harder. And Hollywood is scrambling all over the place, trying to figure out how to fix this, right? Instead of doing it the right way and just making good movies like this. They just trying to figure out different ways to fool us, to get us to pay for movies we don't want to see, or some crazy mess. Everything but the right way.
In short, it's a brilliant example of true gothic horror adapted smartly with the benefit of modern technology, but never losing the essence of what made the original so fascinating and influential. The plot follows the story of the original movie pretty closely, and because Universal Pictures are fucking assholes when it comes to copyright, I'm mostly going to be using footage from the 1922 version to illustrate my points.
Ain't that something else, man? That's the thing I don't understand about Hollywood, man. They so greedy that they don't even want to share anything with the people that's promoting their movies. You got people out there doing trailer reaction like me. They're trying to promote their movie or whatever. I'm not too critical when it comes down to their trailers, okay? But if it's bad, I'll tell you it's something I might not be interested in or whatever. And I'll give you my reasons. But I won't be like trash it or anything like that, right? But for some reason they want to copyright things or block it or whatever. And this is what Hollywood could do. Matter of fact, let me give you a perfect example. When the Democrats lost against Trump, okay, they said part of the reason why they lost is because of all the YouTubers and on social media were following Trump, were supporting Trump. Another reason why they lost. But instead of fixing that and try to, please us or anything like that, right? Give us what we want. They do the opposite. They still doing the opposite. And I feel Hollywood doing the same thing. We the ones that are the ones that's watching these movies, man, paying for these movies. And we putting out our reviews and everything else when we do. But yeah, Hollywood seemed to want to criticize us and fight against us. Like I say, blocking us or doing copyrights and all this other crap, right? Knowing that this could be good for the movies, because so many people watch people like The Critical Drinker, and you would think back in the day Hollywood would have went after a man like that, but because he's honest about the movies, for some reason they just want to just block him or copyright him or just pretend like he's not important at all when he's very important, because so many people watch this guy, including me. But that's the way they do, man. It's crazy stuff.
Also because it looks really cool. Anyway, with that in mind, grab your wooden stakes and holy water and let's begin, shall we?
Yeah, there's always been a mystery when it came down to those movies back in the day. They didn't have all the special effects or whatever. They had to use prosthetics and all the other things to make things look scary or whatever. But they really had to concentrate on the story. They really had to concentrate on the locations where they shoot and everything else. And they had to really have really good actors, the best actors they had at the time, to really sell this movie. Nowadays, they using AI and special effects as a crutch now, right? Instead of concentrating on these good things, they want to use these things to try to pull off a movie with talentless people, like directors, producers, writers, or what have you. To push a message. It's pathetic. And then, because most of the reactions that I see, because I love watching reactions, other people react to movies. Most of the reactions that I see people get excited about is the older movies, when they really, really tried to make good movies back in the day. It's not this newer stuff. They'll do a reaction, but you can see the lack of motivation in their face when they do it. They'll try to be positive, but you can tell it's not like watching an old movie, man. Probably something like this.
Away. The story follows Ellen and Thomas Hutzer, a married couple living in Germany in the mid-19th century. Hoping to advance his career as a real estate agent, Thomas takes on the job of selling an old castle to a reclusive aristocrat named Count Orlok, who just so happens to live in Transylvania. And yes, I think you can see where this one's going. Ellen really doesn't want him to go because she's got a bad feeling about this, but Thomas is like, nah, it'll be fine. But funnily enough...
Did you see that dramaticness? I don't know I can't remember if this was like a silent movie or what. I can't remember. It looks like it though. But you saw that the way he just hugged her, the way they looking at each other, man. They really look back in the day. Those silent movies, man. They really had to express themselves through their actions and their looks and whatever, right? They really had to pull it off to the extreme, okay? But you can tell that they do their best. And they had to get good actors to do that, okay? And not everybody can do something like that. Show their emotions through just their body language and facial expressions. So you really had to be good at that in order to sell the movie. And that's what they did a lot. I mean, I just wanted to watch her again, man, because it looks so funny. But I see what they were going for
about this, but Thomas is like, nah, it'll be fine. But funnily enough, it isn't fine. The local villagers in Transylvania are about as welcoming as a working man's club in Glasgow, and Orlok himself turns out to be a terrifying, barely human monster man that inspires absolute dread in anyone who sees him. Again, much like a working man's club in Glasgow. Anyway, when Orlok sees a picture of Ellen in Thomas's locket, he decides he wants a bit of that action and imprisons Thomas in his castle to feed on him. Eventually, though, Thomas manages to escape and the race is on to get back to Ellen before Orlok does. But will Thomas be able to save his wife and put an end to Orlok once and for all? And does a mysterious scientist and self-proclaimed vampire hunter hold the key to killing the monster?
So I like that, the way they just use his shadow, man, to make it more creepy, okay? Because, I mean, at night, when you're a kid and you lay in your bed, and you could be an adult during this, you listen for, when you're terrified or when you're scared, right? You listen for noises. And you're looking for shadows and things of that sort. Now, actually seeing a person, that can be pretty scary too. But I'm just talking about, these are the things you mostly focus on. Like shadows moving or sounds and things of that sort. And they use that in these movies too. quite effectively. So that's what I love about the stuff. That's why I like watching like the Night Stalker or whatever. They use a lot of shadows and movements and sounds and things like that to freak people out. You know, visuals are good too, but you know, if you really know what you're doing, if you really are a filmmaker, you really know how to use shadows and noises.
I'm not going to say any more about the story because I really want people to go and see this movie.
I remember that, man. Look at this chip. Look at this tip, man. That's so cool, man. I like that.
Any more about the story because I really want people to go and see this movie for themselves.
Oh,
what
yeah.
I will say though is if you don't want to know what happens, then don't watch or read about the original version because it does adhere pretty closely to the events of that film. You have been warned. Now, I said before that one of Egger's biggest accomplishments with this movie is to present a genuinely dark and disturbing take on what's become a pretty played out Hollywood movie monster at this point.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, vampires have been played as everything from tragic romantic figures brooding on lost loves to goofy and campy joke characters to wisecracking heartthrobs that are so human they might as well just be regular people. Look man, I love Buffy as much as the next person, but one thing you can't accuse that show of is being fucking scary. Anyway,
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think it's meant to be scary. I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I think it was great. That was made, but yeah, he's right. It's sort of like Twilight, man. You can't get scared out of Twilight. It was a love story, basically. Okay. They just happen to be vampires, okay? Sort of like the Vampire Diaries or something like that. That's not scary either. So, you know, and he right, they played that character out. It's like they played out Batman. But yeah, you don't get tired of Batman when somebody come and do it right. That's what a lot of people are hoping that James Gunn do this Batman right, because he claims to be a Batman lover. He said during an interview, Batman is one of the greatest superheroes out there. So he wants to do it right. I'm hoping that's the case. I'm really hoping that's the case. I mean, everything's out, is floating in the clouds right now. Nobody know how well Superman gonna do. People like the trailer, but yet there's still rumors behind the scenes about, you know, the tests aren't doing so well. You gotta do reshoots, things of that sort. So you don't know yet. Commandos came out. I'm not a great lover of Commandos, I have to admit. But I'm not going to say it's terrible or anything like that. I mean, if I get a chance to watch the whole thing, I think I might enjoy it. But still, I don't depend on that for the live action movies. So I'm waiting on the first movie to come out, Superman, to see where he's taking the DCU. But a lot of people got confidence in him, okay? I mean, it is what it is. So, but I just brought the Batman up. Is the fact of the matter is that people constantly make Batman movies and cartoons or whatever. You think you get tired of that. And I wish they would use other characters in the DCU. But I never get tired of seeing Batman when it's done right. You know, I don't just want to see anything Batman, but when it's done right, I enjoy Batman. I enjoy Batman big time. So it's kind of makes sense why they use him a lot. And I think that's the same reason why they use vampires so much. So either case, I'm like, come on, man. Let's. It's a lot of monsters out there. Let's explore a little bit, okay? I think Tom Cruise wanted to explore that. He wanted to start something new with a lot of creatures or whatever, but it didn't work out because the movie that he did, that scary movie, I think with Mummy or whatever, it didn't do well. So I think he just gave up or just moved on. But I think he wanted to do something like that. And it sounds like something similar to what James Gunn is doing now. You know, trying to bring all these characters together so they can make money. And I think if Tom Cruise would have continuously pursued this, I think it might have turned out well. Because Tom Cruise really takes his movies seriously. And that's what I love about Tom Cruise. He really take it. Whether it's good or not, you can tell he went through a lot of effort to try to make it good. Okay, and I appreciate that.
Anyway, Nosferatu takes a very different approach. Count Orlok isn't some tragically misunderstood anti-hero looking for love and redemption. He's a creature of pure and total evil and malice.
Yeah.
His only goal is to feed and consume and destroy everything in his path. You don't even get a proper...
Yeah, he's supposed to be a demon. That's the point. He's supposed to be a monster. And that's what they seem to forget about. They're too busy trying to make these creatures romantic because the world is getting pretty dark. As a Christian, you can see that. The world's getting pretty dark. The things that people support these days are kind of demonic and evil. But people loving this stuff, man. They loving this. I mean, it's recently this guy, man, CEO some healthcare got gunned down by the dude. And they support the guy that did it. You can see that the world is getting even more twisted than it was in the past. So, yeah, but they too busy trying to romanticize these creatures and these monsters. I just want them to go back to being horrifying. I want them to be evil and monsters. You know, that's the whole point. And then in the end, they get killed. You kill them. You destroy evil. That's the point. That's the point. But now they too busy trying to make them lovers and stuff like that, like in Twilight.
For look at him at first, he's just this shadowy, menacing presence who always manages to keep himself just out of focus, just out of the light, just out of view. A monster you catch at the corner of your eye, but you can never quite focus on. And credit to Bill Skarsgård for his work on this one. Not only did...
Now, if you don't know who this dude is, he played It. That clown in It. It was good. He was good at that. So I'm not surprised that they decided to hire him to play this particular role, man. This guy was good at it. He made that character funny and crazy looking, really crazy looking. And I don't know why somebody would pick this guy. He looked like he can do like a lead role, you know, a romantic role with women or whatever the situation is. He looked like he could do that. But for some reason, they saw something in him that they feel like he can play these really strange characters. But then again, maybe this is the only thing that he wanted to do. He wanted to be like, you know, Johnny Depp and play really interesting roles, which I give him credit if that's the case. But I was very surprised, though. You know what I mean? That he, well, I wasn't surprised. Excuse me. I wasn't surprised that they decided to pick him after he did that movie, It.
Did he probably have to sit through hours of prosthetics every day? But the guy does things with his voice that shouldn't even be possible. God knows what his vocal cords looked like after he was done with this movie, but it must have been rough. It's actually quite funny when I think about it, that he's gone from one of the worst movies of the year to one of the best in the space of just a couple
Oh, he did that. Oh, that's right. He did that. I saw the original one with Bruce Lee's son, Brandon Lee, man. I loved it. But it sounded like they really screwed this one up. It might be an interesting watch if you just sat at home chilling, got nothing else to do, so you just want to watch something. It might not be that bad, but people are certain. Look, when you take on, and you would think Hollywood would know this, if you take on something, a fan favorite, and you butcher it to death, you know what I'm saying? You could get a lot of angry fans. And people ain't gonna go to see it, or they're gonna see it just to make fun of it. So I don't understand why people like, oh, I want to do that fan favorite type movie and redo it again, and then just ruin it, man. Just ruin it. Like, you know, they take away everything about the movie that people love, and that's why I think Nosferatu, excuse me. I had to look at the word just to remember how to say the name. But that's why he was talking about, because the Critical Drinker seen the movie, and he's saying it's very similar to the original. And that's what people want. You don't want to change it to make him some type of lover. He's supposed to be a monster. That's the point. And like I say, for some reason they want to just, I don't know if it has something to do with women's taste now. They're just trying to make women want the worst type of mate in the world. It's like they want people, like they want women to fall in love with criminals and murderers and all this stuff. It makes no sense. It made no sense to me.
Months. Nicholas Hoult, on the other hand, is having the year of his fucking life, starring in Nosferatu and then playing Lex Luthor in Superman next July. Here, though, he's perfect as Thomas, a well-meaning man caught up in events far beyond his understanding, trying...
Yeah, let's go back to him for a second, Nicholas Hoult, man, for a second, man. He is... I remember saw him About a Boy back in then. Though he a cute little boy, right? And he was funny. He was great in that. He was great with Hugh Grant. But I thought that was pretty much it for him, because little boy actors like that don't really last that long in Hollywood. But he carved out an amazing, amazing career. You know what I mean? And I love the fact that he's not just trying to play some kind of lover. He could do that, but I think he just want to be interesting. I think he just want to be a good actor. And I think that's the reason why he appears in a lot of these roles. Because it's sort of like when Prince told Beyonce she need to learn how to play an instrument. It will make her go on longer and be more interesting. Like I said, I don't know if she ever did it, but I'm just saying that it's the same when it comes down to acting. You know, you want to play really interesting characters, like her father, Johnny Depp. And I think she saw the way his career was so successful, and she wanted to do that as well, play interesting roles. And she probably asked him a lot of questions about Hollywood and the kind of roles she takes. She probably go to him first and ask him if she should take a role in that. That would be very smart on her part to have those type of resources. But yeah, I want to recommend, not recommend, but I want to give him credit for the kind of career he's carving out for himself right now.
A well-meaning man caught up in events far beyond his understanding, trying to rationalise and understand an enemy that simply defies rationality. Willem Dafoe can elevate pretty much any movie that he's part of, and he seems to be a real favourite of Eggers, who always manages to bring out the best in him, and well, Nosferatu is no exception. Professor von Franz is clearly based very heavily on Van Helsing from Dracula, but Dafoe invests him with such intensity and surprising little touches of humour that you can't help but warm to the guy. It's always nice to see Ralph Ineson as well. He was fucking superb in The Witch, and he puts in a solid turn here as the Doc.
You know what? This is the thing about, I don't know if this is directed. I don't know what Edgar look like, but this might be, but whatever. I just want to say something about Edgar, though. I love directors that take time off after a movie. They'll do a movie. These are the real good directors, right? I mean, they probably made a ton of movies when they were younger, but once they start getting older and everybody know who they are and everybody expect good movies, they slow down big time. They'll do a movie and then they'll chill out for a certain amount of years until they find a really good project that they want to do. I guess you get to that point where you got money, you can do that. But I'm just saying that I love that fact. So they'll really wait for a material that they really, really want to do. Now, whether they don't guarantee success. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying I love the fact that they'll wait for the right projects to do. And then when they get their hands on it, then they'll do it the best that they can. Because they love it. They love movies. And they know there's a lot of people out there that love these movies. So they want to put out the best movie that they can. And that's a real relationship between fans or audiences and people that make these movies. It's a relationship you cannot avoid. Okay, when you decide to make a movie, you decide to do it, you got to consider the audience. You have to, and that's the reason why I think Disney is failing right now with Star Wars and Marvel, because they don't consider their fans. They don't consider the audience. They just want to do what they want. They have such a disconnect when it comes down to regular people, man, that it's starting to affect their work. And I think that's a bad thing to do, right? But then there are directors and producers and people out there making movies that really want to connect to their fans, really want to know what they want. And I'm hoping that's the same case when it comes down to James Gunn. I'm hoping that he understand, like when he puts out something, for example, right? That he's doing it because he want to see what how the fans are going to respond to it. Okay? And not just that, but when we do respond negatively or say we don't like something, then he'll go back and research it and then possibly change it to the point where he can find either some type of middle ground or just meet us all the way or whatever. And that's connecting with your fans, knowing what they want, because if we don't want it, we're not going to pay for it. I mean, just that simple. And maybe it might piss off a lot of directors and actors that we have that kind of control. But why put out stuff nobody want to see? If it just satisfies your ego, that's meaningless. But I think there's a lot of egos in Hollywood, and I think they should start considering the relationship they have with their fans, like a lot of these directors and producers are.
Doctor trying to help Ellen, another rational man trying to fight the supernatural with science and reason and coming up short. In terms of cinematography, soundtrack and direction, Nosferatu is an absolute treat. The soundtrack especially helps to create a dark, disturbing mood that just soaks into you the longer the movie goes on.
And you know another thing too, and like I said, I've seen all these actors in something else, and I like them all of them. And that's another key to making movies like this. Get people that you know can act. That's definitely a major thing. And that people like. You don't want to get somebody like the situation is going on with Snow White. What's it, Rachel Segler or whatever her name is, that goes out there and just want to piss people off. I don't want to see her in movies. I don't care what the movie. Look, if I go see a movie that, let's just say she did a great movie, right? That everybody thought it was an amazing movie, right? I'll pretend like she don't exist when I go see that movie, because it won't be all about her. Okay? It doesn't help her cause when she go out there and piss people off. So it's like you really like the fact when they get people that's professional, know how to handle interviews or what have you, and ain't out there to piss piss off audiences, okay? And so far from seeing this, I've seen the trailer, and I did a little research. I saw interviews and things like that. So I like all the actors in it, all of them, okay? So that definitely helps a movie.
Eggers has always been a strong visual director, willing to experiment and do the unconventional, and you can definitely see and feel the classic horror movie influences on this.
Yeah, like Orson Welles, right? Excuse me, I'm still getting over this cold thing. But like Orson Welles, he did a lot of his cinematography was amazing. He invented things that, you know, people, you see it in colleges now. If you go to like I went to a photography school, and you also got to learn videography and all that kind of stuff. And the teacher always talked about Orson Welles, how he approached certain looks on a movie, you know, the compositions and all these other things, right? So it's very popular in colleges when it comes down to this. And that's what you look them to do. That's what a lot of directors want to do. They look in the past and see how other directors in the past shot their movie, how they invented certain things. And I think the ultimate goal is they want to make something of their own, so they can also be in colleges and people can talk about them. Okay. And I think movies like this, and this is what I love about college. Okay. When the colleges do what they're supposed to do. Okay. They'll pull up movies like this and ask us questions about it. How was it shot? What's up with the lighting, you know, and the filters and all these other things. And and that's what I loved about going to college, man. I hate the fact of paying for the college. And then you got to do the math and all the other crap. I didn't like that. But when I finally got to the part when I went, that I started doing college, what I went to college for, I loved it, man. Loved it. I loved the fact that we talked about paintings and sculptures and movies and all this kind of stuff. Loved it, man. Learned so much about these things, right? I mean, if I went to a more prestige college, I think I would have learned a lot more. But it still was pretty decent from what I did. My understanding was, because I didn't look at movies the same way after I went to college, because there was so many things I didn't know about it. I knew I loved movies. I just didn't know why I loved them. And they let you know certain things that artists do to draw attention to certain things or try to tell a certain type of story or whatever, right? So I think a lot of directors want to be in colleges and people discussing their movies, because it's well thought out and it's well shot. And Blade Runner was definitely one of those movies we talked about. Loved the way that movie looked. Loved it.
This one, by all account, this was a passion project almost a decade in the making. A film that Eggers made because he cared deeply about the material and he had a story he really wanted to tell, instead of some corporatized sludge churned out to retain IP rights or fill a release slot. And well, it shows through in pretty much every aspect. And I really want to see more movies like this. Movies made by people with talent and skill who actually care about telling good stories. And if you're in the mood for a suitably spooky take on an old classic to round out your year, then The Drinker heartily recommends Nosferatu.
Yeah, see, that's the thing about it too. We're willing to wait for a movie. And I can keep going back to old movies to watch that I love. I can just keep going back to that. You know what I mean? I don't need to have movies pumped out every 5 minutes. I don't need that. I don't need that. I just need you to do quality movies, and I'll go back and watch reruns constantly. I'll just watch reruns, man. You know, I can wait for a good movie. I can. I got the patience now. I don't need every week or every whatever movie getting pumped out, because they're not quality. If it's a good movie, I can watch it over and over and over again until the next movie. That's why I didn't mind when George Lucas was pumping out Star Wars every year, or every certain amount of years or whatever, right? I wanted to rush. As long as it was a good movie, I could wait. I think most people that love movies can wait. They don't need movies constantly out there. Now, I mean, I understand people that works on YouTube, or, you know, they in the news, the media, they want to constantly talk about movies because it's money involved. Because, you know, you want people to constantly come back to your network or to your social media account, and you want to be able to have something to talk about. But unfortunately, it makes Hollywood pump out a bunch of movies that nobody want to see. And that's the sad part about it. That's really the sad part about it. And I just prefer to wait. I'm not in a rush, man. I'm not in a rush. That's why I'm not looking forward to any movie right now except this one right now. And there's a lot of movies that came out. That I'm not really all that excited about. I am looking forward to Superman, don't get me wrong, but I'm really looking forward to this. And I can't wait for it to come on streaming so I can watch it, man. I'm really, really want to watch it. I really want to, like the Critical Drinker said, it's exciting when you finally come across a movie somebody actually care about making because it's good. You know what I mean? Because it's good, okay? All right, but that's all I got to say about it. I really appreciate all of you coming by. Thanks again. This is T and peace.